this is Linda and Anna with Two Travel Junkies, and today we want to talk to you about the Grand Tetons. How do you make a video about one of the most amazing places and not get excited and nervous that you're going to forget to share something that makes it so amazing? This is all about the Grand Tetons in Wyoming. These are mountains of imagination. The Grand Teton National Park offers over 200 miles of trails and 1,000 drive-in campsites. It's approximately 310,000 acres, and as you guess, it's named after its highest peak, Grand Teton, which is 13,775 feet. It's a 40-mile long Teton range, or I should say the Teton range is 40 miles long. Grand Teton National Park, if you don't know, is located just 10 miles south of Yellowstone National Park. There is a lot to do in this area. From skiing in the wintertime to obviously hiking, rafting, horseback riding. There is a ton of wildlife viewing. We got to see so much wildlife in the number of days that we were there, from moose, elk.
That's my nickname for today, is Moose, and hers is Goose.
Yes,
so,
yes. Although we did not see any geese on this trip, we did see a lot of moose on this trip.
And we'll get into where some great spots to view those are later on today.
Yep, exactly. But there is a lot of wildlife to see there. It was just an amazing place, and we encountered lots of different weather conditions while we were there. Anything from beautiful sunshine and warmth to rain, hail, snow, cold weather.
All in one actual hike.
Yeah, actually, we did see that all in one hike with Amphitheater Lake, I believe it was.
Surprise and Amphitheater Lake.
Amphitheater Lake. So, but yeah, we'll get into those hikes and all the different areas to go visit, because it really is an amazing place to visit.
Again, this is a national park, so you are going to have to pay a fee to enter, and I think the weekly pass was $35.
I think so.
But again, this is a great reason to have the annual park pass, which I think it's about $80 to get in all parks, depending on promotions that they have going on, but $80 for a year for any national park. And like we talked about last time, not just national parks, but state parks in different areas. So it's definitely worthwhile if you enjoy the outdoors and hiking and enjoying those types of things. So with this one, we had a hard time of where to even begin. So we are just going to take you right from the beginning. We actually flew into Salt Lake City. It is quite a bit of a drive. It's about 6 or so hours, but not the most thrilling of a road trip. But you know, there are some pretty spots along the way for sure. I know some of you wanted the Salt Lake video, and we will do that one in the future as well, so keep an eye out for that one as well. On our way up, we drove through Afton in Wyoming, and have you ever heard of that? I had not.
We had not heard of that until we drove through there.
This is actually home to the world's largest elkhorn arch. So there's your fun fact of the day. We did get some pictures, so you'll see those as well. We also made some stops along the Snake River, which is actually pretty long. It's over 1,000 miles long and very, very scenic and beautiful. Yeah. So
canyons, lots of rock, and just a kind of like a neat green color in a lot of spots that you don't really see. But a lot of rapids, fast-moving water. But yeah, it was really gorgeous.
Our first full day in Jackson / Grand Tetons, we'll say, we noticed some road closures that wouldn't let us get to our hike. So we were kind of bummed about that, but as when we plan these trips so far in advance that we do have to keep in mind we need to check, day of, day before, as we kind of have our trips already, our hikes already planned out, like I said, ahead of time. But, something might have happened, whether it be unexpected construction, snow, whatnot. So keep that in mind for when you go and try to do these things, as sometimes there's only one road leading up to it and you have no other choice but to find another option.
So yeah, that was definitely the case, with this area, where there was only one road to get to that area. And, besides road closures, sometimes you got to be cognizant trails are closed, whether it's because of wildlife activity or some other thing. So it's great to plan ahead, but we found it's good to have an ABC plan, day before to kind of weigh the options and what we can actually do.
Yeah. So this first hike we ended up at Surprise and Amphitheater Lakes, which we talked about a few minutes ago that it was sunny when we started, and we had no problems going up. And then we ended up putting on our yak tracks, which are helps with the snow and traction in the snow. Kind of flurried, and then once we reached the lakes, it was so magical. It was just like a light snow. It was so beautiful. So I highly recommend this one. How long was that one? About
I want to say it was about 12 or 13 miles round trip. It's what it sounds about right. So
definitely worthwhile. Probably any time of year. I wish we would have seen it when there was no snow and the clearness of the lakes, but we couldn't have asked for a better time.
Honestly, when you're hiking in a light snowfall and the snowfall is starting to accumulate on the trees and the ground, honestly, there's nothing more beautiful than that to me. When you're in the mountains in high elevation, it's just gorgeous.
Yeah. And it overlooks some of the lakes that actually have other trails too, Bradley Lake and Taggart Lake. So those are some great areas as well if you're not able to make it to the top. So then that day, was it after that? We went to the National Elk Refuge after that?
Yeah. Where they had that sign with the tooth deposit, which we had never seen before.
Right.
It said elk tooth deposit. And, that was a little different for us. So we had to ask, what that was about because it just seemed really weird. And what did the ranger tell us?
They said that if you hunt an elk, you have to leave a tooth for future research and things. So I thought that was kind of cool.
For DNA testing and disease testing is really what they wanted with that. So if you did, you were permitted, obviously, to kill one. That you really were required to leave a tooth for that purpose.
Right. In the elk refuge, we actually didn't see any elk, but we did see pronghorn. Do any of you know what a pronghorn is? It's actually the second fastest land mammal in the world after the cheetah. It goes about 50 miles an hour.
Pretty fast. We saw them running, and they are very quick, and that's the first time we had ever seen them, and they're beautiful. They really are beautiful animals.
Yeah. And then we also ended up seeing bison on our drive. You'll see a lot of our pictures. We are actually not that close, so we are not in the category of those other people, but we were not that close, and there was actually a fence there. So.
Yeah, there was. But obviously when you take pictures, you like to zoom in, so it looks like you're closer, but we know to maintain the proper distance with animals because we don't want to be in trouble, and we don't want the animals to get hurt either because we were too close. So we're very respectful of nature.
And then the next day we ended up doing Jenny Lake. This is probably one of the most scenic areas that people pull over to an overlook, take some beautiful pictures, and the weather is, when it's right, the sun will hit right on it. So we actually ended up going all the way around that, as well as to other little lakes called String Lake and Lee Lake Trail. That was actually pretty cool. Jenny Lake is pretty big. You can fish, you can boat, you can camp, hike, enjoy a picnic, but that was a beautiful one.
Yeah, that was a great hike. A lot of different ecology, I thought, on that hike too. And it looked like an area where a lot of trees had fallen down. So I don't know if it was the winds or maybe an avalanche at one point.
Or an angry bear.
Or an angry bear, right, who just took it out. But we did actually see a couple of eagles flying around too, on one side of the lake. And that was really nice because it had been a while since I had seen a wild eagle. So that was a bonus for us. So.
Our next day consisted of going to East Idaho. Most people are like, Idaho? There actually is a lot of great hiking there. This day, though, the weather kind of held us up a little bit on that one. And there weren't many people on the trail. It actually scared me just a little bit. But
pretty desolate, out there, and it looked like a winter storm was coming in. We did encounter one hiker.
And he said
he was a local hiker.
Yeah, he was with his dog, but he brings his dog just for protection from animals, but
he did say that he encountered a mountain lion one day on that trail. So, you know, obviously that's a little unnerving, a mountain lion and a bear, you know,
Right.
but you got to be on your guard a little bit. But it really was a quiet, desolate hike, which, you know, sometimes that can be a little unnerving when you don't see other people, but it was mainly the weather that
and again, you can start the trail and it's beautiful out, and then all of a sudden it just kind of turns. So you have to be prepared for that. You know, again, what you pack. We talked about that in our last video about, you know, making sure you have a raincoat even if it doesn't look like it's going to rain, or, you know, some sort of protection. Are you, you know, is it going to be sunny all day, or should you bring weather proof boots or whatever it may be?
Yeah,
So
hats, gloves. I mean, when you're hiking in the mountains, especially late fall like we were, you never know what you're going to get, especially when you start getting in the higher elevations. And if, you know, storms move in pretty quick, as we've seen, you know, in the distance, where we've had to outrun storms before, where we thought, are we going to get back to the car before, you know.
a little anxiety kicks in.
It can be a little unnerving because you don't want to be out there when the elements, you know, get really difficult. So, again, the Jackson area in general, I don't know if you know, if any of you have ever been there, but Jackson Hole is absolutely gorgeous. A lot of great restaurants and shops and art galleries. We really enjoyed, you know, that area very much, and the fact that the Teton mountain range was right there, it was a bonus. We stayed in town, had a great hotel, great gym to go to.
$1 Million Cowboy. It's been in a lot of Western movies, I believe.
Yeah,
so
$1 Million Cowboy
the famous
Bar.
place to go to when you're there.
Yeah, a lot of people go there, and it's there's a square in town, a nice little green. But at each corner of the green, there is an arch of basically elk antlers. And they have it lit up at night with different colors, so it's really pretty. But everybody's so friendly there. It's just such a quaint little town nestled, you know, in the Tetons. It's really hard to beat. You know, we've really, really enjoyed our experience there overall, for everything from nature, hikes, in town, restaurants.
Just one thing to point, you will notice it does get quite expensive if you want to go there. So I would just say plan ahead, do your research, know when to go, change the date on your hotel stay a week away or a month out to see if that makes a difference. But it does get pretty expensive there. So just hang tight, do your research. That would be my one tip on this.
It does. We actually stayed at 2 different places within the same week, you know, for that matter. And I'd say we had 2 really good deals, but breaking it up that way really helped us. And literally, they were only a few miles apart, and we were still in town, so it wasn't of any inconvenience or anything like that. And we got to see the other side of town more so than always being in the same area. So that was, you know, really nice. Next day, we ended up driving around to see some other points of interest instead of hiking. It was nice weather, but then we had some clouds and some rain, and we, you know, really didn't get a lot of great photos that day, just because the weather was just kind of
not cooperating with
No, we were actually on the hunt, you know, maybe for some bear, you know, you know, who isn't, right? You know,
She still wants to be as close as she can to that bear.
Yeah, within reason, of course. Obviously, I don't want to put us at risk, but you know, that they're just so beautiful and majestic. It's very nice to observe from a distance. But we didn't see any that day, but we had a lot of different stops, like the Chapel of Transfiguration, actually. It's cute little church, old wooden church facing the Tetons.
It's actually an Episcopal church that still functions today. I think it can hold up to 65 people. And then they actually open up the outside if it's weather permitting to have more people there and enjoy the service there. But I mean, I couldn't think of a better way to, if that's your thing, to enjoy church that way with that scenery.
Yeah, so. I mean, it's you're in the church and you look through the window, and what do you see but the Tetons? I mean, that's really really hard to beat. But yeah, that same day, there's a campground called the Gros Ventre Wilderness Area. There's the Gros Ventre.
I did not pronounce it right, so she has to say it. She's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Oh."
It is, a great area that's along a small river. I don't really remember the name of that river.
I think it was
Was it part of the Snake River?
Say that word again.
Oh, the Ovanto
River.
But honestly, there were so many moose there. We saw moose basically every time that we drove through that area, especially
all in the sagebrush, and you don't realize that they're actually hidden in there unless they're standing. But when they're just lounging, you cannot tell the difference unless you are on the true lookout.
It's true. The height of the sagebrush, when they're laying down, you barely see their head and you just see the antlers come up. So if you're driving and you're not paying attention,
chances are you missed a bunch.
Yeah, they're really, really easy to miss. But we saw, quite a few really large ones, crouched, where when you looked at their rack, you just really wanted them to stand up so you could see how big they really were.
And then we saw, actually there were like 4, 5, 6 or so, and they were fighting. We had some that were fighting. It was really cool. We were, again, a great distance back, but you could actually hear their racks hitting each other from where we were. And that's unreal. What an experience.
That really was an experience, because the chances of catching that in the wild and hearing the sound of their antlers hitting, where one was trying to show dominance over the other, that was amazing. We spent quite a bit of time out there just watching them, probably almost an hour, because it was just watching them in their own element was really amazing.
And then we headed over to Mormon Row, which is another iconic picture scenery area. It's the Molten Barns and then the Tetons in the background, but the barns are from the late 1800s or something. I think so. I believe something along those lines, but it's beautiful. I mean, when the light is hitting right, it's just gorgeous, and that's probably one of my favorite views of the Tetons in that area. It's just, it truly is breathtaking. When you see it, unless you truly experience it, it's hard to understand. So I would highly recommend going to this area. And then after that is probably my second favorite view at Schwabacker's landing, where it's the Tetons and it reflects in the water, like perfectly clear. Unless someone is crossing it or something like a moose, like we saw. Yeah. We just happened to be in that spot at the right time.
You couldn't have asked for better timing.
We saw a moose there, and that was probably when he was crossing, and the Tetons are in the back. I mean,
it couldn't have
magical,
asked for
and this is why I still have a hard time like talking about it, because it's so, you look back and you're like, wow, how did we get that shot? Just the moose crossing and everything, but it was really, really, something to.
It is really a gorgeous spot to begin with. Just having basically the reflection of the Tetons in the water when the water's still on that day. It's amazing. It's got to be one of the most beautiful scenes I've seen, in person. These are the things that you see in pictures, honestly, that you're like, wow, I'm never going to see that myself. And in the Tetons in general, we saw so many areas like that.
Yeah. And then what else did we do that day?
That day, well, we took, I can't remember the name of the route, but the route goes along where the ski resort is and the Jackson Hole Airport. And we saw Wild Coyote.
Oh yeah.
Wild Coyote. He was kind of like, I'd say he was like trotting.
Yeah.
He wasn't running, but he wasn't walking, but he was like trotting through a field, like he was on a mission. And he actually stopped because he had seen some kind of prey, and I can only imagine it was a mouse or a rabbit, maybe something smaller, but he actually stopped, and we saw him jump up and pounce on it.
It was awesome. It was
really
actually
cool. Another thing. It was like just absolutely perfect timing. But on that stretch, on another day, we actually did see another coyote.
Yeah,
so,
we did see a few.
Yeah, we did see a couple, but that one day, we got a couple really good pictures of that.
Yeah.
Just seeing, like you see on nature channels, he actually jumped up and pounced down with his 2 front legs. Really amazing. I mean, just the timing again was impeccable on that one.
Right. Oh, I know what we did. The last day we went to, was it Phelps Lake? Oh
gosh, yes.
It started off like a normal day, and then we were driving into where this area was, and started flurrying, and then it just really snowed. And then we're like, should we do this hike? Should we not? We ended up doing it, and you walk out. I think the lake was pretty quick to get to, but then you go all the way around the lake.
Yeah.
But once you get to the actual lake, it's another magical moment where it was like a winter wonderland. It was so beautiful.
Yeah.
I remember that bridge too. There was a bridge. We'll show you guys in the video here, but it was just perfect.
To be
Everything
able to,
was great.
I mean, yeah, you'll see from the pictures, walking around the lake where you've got a fresh snowfall in the trees and on the edge of the water, and to have your footprints be the only footprints on the trail, besides maybe a few animals here and there, absolutely pristine. And just hearing the crunch of the snow. I don't know if you've ever hiked in fresh snow, but there's a distinct sound to hiking in fresh snow, and I just love it. The smell and the sound. But you'll see from the pictures, it was absolutely breathtaking to walk around this lake, and it was very serene.
That was a good way to end the trip. So
yeah, that was.
And then pretty much we went back to We drove back down to Salt Lake, and then spent a few days, a day or two.
I think
on
we
the back end?
spent like a day and a half before we had to fly out.
Yeah, and again, we'll talk about that on a later video. But again, the Tetons are probably hands down our favorite so far. I mean, of course, Banff, but.
Yeah.
This
in the United States,
in the United
States,
it's
yeah, our favorite so far. But you know, we're always looking for other places that we can hope to say, wow, this is our new favorite spot, because then that just means it's that much better. But
yeah, so comment below if you have a place that you think we should visit, or you know, I don't know.
Yeah, we're always looking for you know, incredible spots with lots of great hiking and animals and nature and you know, serenity. I mean, not too busy like some of the parks are that are like a zoo. You know, we like to enjoy nature and have some quiet time as well. So
I think that pretty much wraps up our video. Thanks guys for watching, and it's Moose and Goose here, or Trippin' Daisy and Sweeping Beauty, whatever you want to call us.
Depending on which hike we're on. But yeah, I can't wait for you guys to see the photos of the trip and the animals that we got to see, and enjoy it as much as we did.
All right, see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.